This has got to be potentially the worst experience of my life. It was recommended to me by my psychiatrist that I should try to get into a psychosomatic clinic for an inpatient clinic stay. I could not have expected how bad my social anxiety really was before I attended it. And I was supposed to stay there for like 8 weeks, I think. And I only stayed for 3.5 days. It was 3.5 hours away by car, and that was really far from me. But yeah, let's start at the beginning when I applied to these places. The application itself is like 26 pages long, and you have to fill out pretty much everything you could expect from like any application, you know. And you need an evaluation from your psychiatrist, your current and text form. And I've applied to a total of like 3 clinics. 2 had a spot for me, and one of them couldn't like give me a spot because of my weight and there's like insurance issues. I specifically applied for those clinics because they specialize in PTSD. And on the 14th of July I got called by one of those clinics, and they told me they have a spot for me like in 14 days. I got like super panicked instantly, basically. Like just the thought of being away from home for like 8 weeks or something is pretty scary for me. And we still had like to prepare lots of things, like get some clothes and see my doctor once more and get all kinds of things like shoes and certain kind of socks they wanted for some reason. Yeah, we did that. I got all the necessities done, but the panic didn't get better, like it got way worse actually. And the last 4 to 5 days before I went there, I couldn't even sleep or eat. That was really bad. I could not leave my bed. Like, I was staying in bed all day, basically, and watched anime or something. And there were so many things wrong before I even got there. Like, the first major red flag was that I got an invitation for a clinic I didn't really apply for. I applied for one that was specialized in PTSD. And the one I got, basically, was not that. It was a sister clinic of that one. And it's supposed to be the main clinic of this complex, but yeah. So I didn't like think too hard about it. The next red flag was that I have to pay around like 500 euros to even go there. No one told me this before. And like the application process is like month long, so anyone should have told me, I think, so at least. Especially because like healthcare in Germany is free, but apparently that's like super common, but I didn't know that because I never had like long hospital stays. So that's all the stress that was building and building and building. But let's skip to the day that I actually went there. We were supposed to arrive between like 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. on the 28th of July. And the day before, the stress got so fucking intense that I was literally unable to eat. Like, I couldn't eat a thing. I couldn't sleep. And then we got there at like 12. The nursing staff was supposed to show me a room, and then it took forever before like the nurse got there because he was, I think, on break or something. So I was like in a very crowded area for like 1.5 hours, and I'm like have super severe social anxiety, and just standing there drove me like super crazy. So that was not ideal, I think. But finally the nurse came, and he was super nice, and he showed me my room, and I even hit the jackpot basically. I got like a single bedroom, which is rare, and I felt some relief. I was like, nice, I got like the single bedroom, it's super good. But now comes like the time to say goodbye to my girlfriend, who drove me there and supported me all the way to get there. And that was kind of heartbreaking because she's like my anchor basically, and she helped me. But yeah, she had to leave. I was like under extreme stress. Soon after that, I had to see my reference therapist. That was like the main therapist in this complex for me. And she was also supposed to be my group leader, basically group therapy leader, something like that. And she asked me like all the basic questions, like how am I feeling, blah blah blah, my history and stuff. And she also asked me to like sign a contract that I would not kill myself while I'm there, which was kind of weird. And she also handed me like a timetable and a stack of documents that I had to sign, like mostly basic stuff. Then I went back to my room, and I had one more appointment left on that day, and that was like with the physician of the clinic. After that, I went to my room, just to lay down. I was super done. The stress was insane. I was crying the whole time. It was really bad. I was questioning myself, like stuff. What am I doing here? Is this even helping me? What did I decide to go here on my own and stuff? Like all those like self-doubt questions. And my mind was going like super fast. I could not think clearly, basically. After that, I looked through all the documents though that the psychiatrist gave me. Most of it was like basic stuff, like agreeing that the therapy data is given back to my home therapist when I leave, but something was bugging me because there was like big bundles of documents, and there was one that was basically like the overview of depression therapy. And don't get me wrong, my depression is kind of severe and bad, but like I had worked out with my therapist that it probably stems from my PTSD, and that's why I applied specifically for PTSD clinics. And then I found out that the clinic I was at didn't even treat PTSD. That's like I was in the wrong clinic and for the wrong treatment, basically. Because every single psychosomatic clinic in Germany treats depression. I wouldn't have to drive like 3.5 hours to get there. That was kind of fucking me up, actually, because I was in the wrong clinic for the wrong treatment. And that's like bad, I guess. And then I took a closer look at my timetable that was given to me. And something was bizarre there too, because when I talked to my therapist and my psychologist before I went there, they basically told me how PTSD is treated, and that basically happens in like one-on-one sessions where you go through like what happened to you and what basically gave you your trauma in very minute details, so you can like live through it once more and more and more and more until you like learn how to handle these things. But on my timetable, there were like only group sessions, like almost exclusively. There was, I think, 30 minutes of one-on-one sessions per week. Yeah, that was not the case in this clinic, so I was just wrong there, basically. I didn't know what to do at this point. Like, I was super stressed, and then all these things also did go wrong, and okay. Because in those group therapy sessions, you're also not supposed to like tell in like close detail what happened to you to not distress other patients, like to distress them. But okay, this all seems pretty terrible, but I'm no professional at this point, is what I'm saying to myself. Like, I'm no professional. Now comes this next day, the 29th, the Thursday. Still wasn't able to sleep the whole night, and I didn't eat the rest of Wednesday. So my energy levels were kind of going down, and I was like super low energy, and my stress was increasing even further. And my first appointment was at like 9 a.m. The whole day was basically filled with just organizational appointments, I would say. Like stuff you had to do, like how you're supposed to act there, what you're supposed to do and what you're supposed to not do. Like, but all these events were like filled with 20 different people that I have never seen before, and that was like all just very stressful. And the worst part was that like all the information that I've gotten on this day was basically information that was given to me in the stack of documents that everyone could have read already. So I kind of felt punished for reading that shit because I was told it the next day. Yeah. And I didn't know how bad my social anxiety was really before I had like these events, because I didn't leave my house prior to that for like almost 2 years unless I was going to my doctor's. And it was really bad. Like, it was really bad. I couldn't stop like shaking, and my head was going crazy. It was really bad. But around 12 on that day, I had like an appointment with the chief doctor of the clinic. And she was asking me like many similar questions as my therapist, like how am I feeling, blah, 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 blah. But she also noticed how insanely stressed I was. And she asked me basically if I was entirely comfortable being there. Which I was obviously not. I really wasn't. She then told me it would make no sense basically to stay there if I was just forcing myself to be there. If I was just like enduring it, that would not be helpful. And that the therapy might not do anything for me. So she told me I basically had to make a decision. And I told her that I was going to stay at least until I see the normal group sessions, which were on the next day. Because I wanted to try it. Like, I went all the way there and had all the stress build up, and I didn't want it to be for nothing. So Thursday passed and I haven't eaten the whole day, and we're on Friday. I'm like on the 4th day with no sleep or eat. Out of the 3rd, I think the last time I had eaten was like Monday evening or something. And Friday we had the first real group session, I would say. And I was meeting the group that I was supposed to stay with the next 8 weeks. I got introduced to my co-patients, and then I met like the 2 therapists that were leading this, basically my reference therapist and someone else. And the first thing we were supposed to do in like this group session is where we were supposed to stand up and like fling around our arms and get like the stress out of a body, which like wasn't really working for me. Maybe for people that like have done that more, it works better, I guess. And after that, the 2 new patients, me and someone else, were supposed to like introduce ourselves and tell why we're here and talk about our problems, basically. I was reminded of not going into too deep detail, basically, so I should not distress other patients. Again, after that we were supposed to stand up once more and do our little dances again, and it felt like kind of esoteric, I guess. It wasn't like my thing. Then people were asked like to throw in topics they wanted to talk about. Most of them were like kind of inapplicable for me. Like there was a mother that had like severe anxiety of losing her children, and people that were a little, like just a little depressed basically because they lost their job or the wife had left them. And I don't want to sound like sociopathic or like an asshole or something, but I feel like little to no empathy for like people I don't know. So I was just basically sitting there and listening to stuff that I didn't really care too much about, which is probably the wrong like way to go about it, but that's basically how I felt, yeah. When the session was over, I went over to my referential therapist and told her that I was basically unable to eat and sleep for the past few days, and that I'm like under severe physical exhaustion basically, and that I was considering leaving the clinic because of that. She told me to meet her in like 2-ish hours so that we can talk about it properly. And when I entered her room 2 hours later, she immediately got up and brought me into the chief doctor's office. So I said the same things again. I was unable to sleep and eat, and that I was like really like physically exhausted. They don't even try basically to convince me to stay there. They said if I wanted to leave, that's my decision, and I had to make it now, like at that moment. And then I said, yeah, I'm leaving. I can't handle this. And they told me that I have to be gone at like 6 p.m. on the same day. It was around 1 p.m. on that day, so I had to organize that my girlfriend would get me all the day there, and driving back, and I had to pack up all my stuff, and a million things like were running through my head. Like, you failed again, you are worthless, like, you can't do anything right, all the stress for nothing. Will this impair like future like problems and stuff that I have to go through, basically? What will my therapist say when I come home? Like, all these things were basically stuck in my head, yeah. But is this my fault? Was basically one of my questions. Like, so I packed my stuff. My girlfriend got into the car with our dog and went straight to me and got me. Absolute relief. Finally, I could breathe, basically, and it felt like this. What's the conclusion of all of this? I'm not sure yet, to be honest. But I feel like this was still useful to notice like how bad my social anxiety really is, and like that I have to work on it on my own from here, not just in like a therapeutic sense. And I'm curious, like basically what's going to happen for me on it. I have my next appointment with my therapist next week. I hope she won't be angry. I just want to regain like possibility to live on my own. I just want like some independence back. I feel like I'm not like really living life at this point. But I also want to add here at the end that all the people that I met in the clinic are really, really, really nice people. Like, all of them were super nice. The staff was super nice. And they were super nice to me. It wasn't their fault like that my experience was terrible. I think it was like a combination of like mismanagement, and because they sent me to the wrong clinic and tried to treat me for the wrong thing. And my therapist at home not really telling me properly what like therapy in a clinic is going to look like. But yeah, I guess that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Maybe someone can